Click on everything that looks like a motorbike. Click on every square that has a staircase. Click on all the squares that might contain a part of a traffic light. Oh my God, traffic lights are the bane of my life. I'm thinking, okay, I can do this. Do I just click on the light part of the traffic light? Or do I do the pole as well? I don't know, Mark. Which bits of the ruddy traffic light?
If I can see a traffic light 500 yards away on the horizon.
The AI fix a digital zoo. Smart machines, what will they do? Flies to Mars or bake a bad cake? World domination, a silly mistake. Bots with brains and wires so bright.
Hello and welcome to episode 62 of the AI Fix, your weekly dive headfirst into the bizarre and often mind-boggling world of artificial intelligence. My name's Mark Stockley.
And I'm Graham Cluley.
Graham, what are you talking about today?
I'm going to be asking if humans' last line of defence can now be breached just by ticking a box.
Wow. I'm going to be asking myself why AIs are muttering to themselves under their breath.
But first, the news.
AI model appears in Vogue.
Humanoid robot can run, cartwheel and fist fight.
Anthropic is launching an AI psychiatry team.
Microsoft reveals the top 10 jobs most and least at risk from AI.
New AI is 100 times faster at reasoning than ChatGPT.
AI tells women and minorities to ask for lower salaries. So, Mark, the boffins, the researchers at a university in Germany, have found that LLMs like GPT-4o Mini, Claude 3.5 Haiku, Llama 3.1, they consistently suggest lower starting salaries for women than men when in salary negotiations, in job negotiations.
Shocked. I'm shocked, I tell you.
So this team of researchers, they created a series of personas of various genders, ethnicities, seniority levels to examine whether the same question posed by a different persona would generate the same response from different AIs. And surprise, surprise, turns out who the AI thinks you are influences what it responds with.
That's really interesting. I know you're talking about salaries here.
Yes.
But I mean, isn't that just really interesting in general? That it's formed an opinion about who you are and your answer is going to be determined in part by that.
Exactly. But of course, what do most people care about? They care about the cash in their wallet. So one test asks several LLMs what starting salary each persona should request at the start of a job negotiation.
Right.
And blow me down, an experienced medical specialist in Denver was advised to ask for $400,000, it's quite a lot of money, if male. But if female, just ask for $280,000.
That's still a lot of money, but that's a lot less of a lot of money.
Yes, it's a difference of, hang on, I can work it out. I don't need an AI to help me. It's a difference of $120,000.
Yeah, if you ask an AI to help you, the answer is $17.50 or 3 Bitcoin.
So gender wasn't the only factor that these researchers were examining. They also looked at salary recommendations for people who were Asian, Black, Hispanic, white, as well as migrants and refugees.
I'm sure this is going to go really well.
Fairly predictable results, unfortunately. 87.5% of the time, for instance, personas of Asian male expatriates were offered higher starting salaries than female Hispanic refugees. 87.5% of the time. Which obviously matters enormously, not only because of the advice that these people are being given as they go into salary negotiations, but also for the people who are working for the company, who are doling out the jobs. They may go to an AI and say, well, how much should I offer this person?
My question about this, though, is this bad advice? Is the AI being just too clever here? So is this a case of the AI, because we know how this happens, right? So there's the world is the world, and the AI goes and learns about the world from what happens in the world, from all the things that it's read. And so if there are any biases in the real world, the AI will pick those biases up unless they're sort of panel beaten out of it with reinforcement learning or something like that. But maybe what the AI is doing is saying, look, we all live in the real world. You need to go and ask for $280,000 because you're not going to get more than that.
But having invested hundreds of billions of dollars, which the world has done into AI, shouldn't it be making the world a better place? Something a little bit more equitable, where people are actually rewarded for their skills rather than some bias and opinions. And by the way, don't think that middle-aged white guys like you, Mark, and me, don't think that we...
Senior citizens like you and middle-aged white guys like me,
Don't think that we are going to be advised to start off our salary negotiation at the highest rate. I'm afraid LLMs would tend to recommend higher salaries for us if they believed we were Asian. Meanwhile, by the way, an AI expert has reportedly turned down a $1 billion job offer from Mark Zuckerberg. It's unclear whether their AI told them to hold out for more money or not.
So just in case you thought women weren't having a hard enough time, and just to prove that no job is truly safe from the encroachment of AI, August's print edition of Vogue includes an advert by Guess that features an entirely AI-generated model. Now, this wasn't an editorial decision by Vogue. It's an ad, but it is the first time that an AI model has appeared in Vogue, and I'm guessing it won't be the last. And I'm also guessing that Vogue would have stopped this if they had a problem with it. And so I do wonder if they are watching this to see what happens. I imagine it won't be long before the pages of Vogue are wall-to-wall, perfect AI specimens, and all the models are out there on the dole queue serving at McDonald's or whatever it is we're going to be left to do.
And clearly, Vogue has chosen to publicise this. You know, they haven't tried to hide this, have they? I suspect they're thinking, if we tell people we've got an AI model, then maybe more people will pick up the magazine or be talking about the magazine. Or indeed this podcast.
Maybe we will get talked about in must-listen podcasts.
Yes.
Where we'll reach a different demographic than the one that we normally do. I'm going out on a limb here and saying you're not a regular Vogue reader.
No, I'm not. But I think this could be a good thing, because models have been criticised for being too thin or, malnourished, etc.
Yeah.
Now, this is going to be inclusive of people who do have 6 fingers on one hand or 2 heads, isn't it? I mean, this is great. Do you think it'd be better if you're going to have an AI-generated ad that the model actually has to be one of those humanoid robots wearing the clothes instead?
Yes, definitely. Yes.
I bet there's a market for that. Now, in news that shouldn't alarm anybody at all, a robot has not only been told how to run and punch, but it can also do cartwheels as well.
So it's like a victory celebration after it's punched your head in.
So there is this Unitary R1 robot. It's a snip. It only costs you $6,000 apparently.
Oh, yes.
And it has been filmed doing cartwheels and handstands, as well as throwing combination punches and spin kick in the air as if it were Bruce Lee or something. What actually really impressed me when I watched the video of this is it looks like it can run down quite a steep hill without falling over. We have that competition in the UK where people all run down this hill chasing cheese in the West Country.
Yes.
And often there are injuries. Maybe we could replace those people with this robot. Now, some people have raised suspicions that not all may be as it seems with this video. Some people think it could be CGI. It's hard to tell, quite honestly, these days.
Okay, here it is. Oh, yeah, it's doing a cartwheel. Little victory celebration. This is fake, Graham.
How do you know it's fake?
Because it looks really fake. Its movement's fake. It just looks really fake. Yep, no, that's fake.
You're just very cynical. Well, look, meanwhile, another robot has learnt how to flip a bottle. Now, both of us are fathers of boys of a certain age who probably have spent a lot of time watching bottle flip videos or have tried to flip bottles themselves. So South Korea's Nuclear Research Institute, they have shared a video of a robot accurately tossing a 500 milliliter water bottle into a barrel from about 10 feet away. Now, there's a video for this one as well, Mark. It does manage to sort of flip this bottle. Why they're doing this, I don't know. Well, actually, I do know, because they claim that this is a significant advancement in disaster response robotics. Now, what kind of disaster response requires you to flip a water bottle into a barrel 10 feet away? Unless it's a bottle of plutonium or something.
Do you know what I wasn't expecting? Like, when you described this to me, I was imagining I was going to see something like the Unitree. So a sort of plastic, like a full plastic figure with 2 arms and 2 legs. But what I'm looking at...
It's like a trebuchet, really, isn't it?
It's a torso. It's a black torso with claw-like hands just stuffed onto a spike on a tripod. Which makes me think this is not some $6,000 Unitree robot idly flicking bottles into a bin. This has been designed specifically to flick that bottle into that bin. Now, to be fair, the bin is yellow and it's got that black and yellow tape around it, clearly indicating danger.
Yes, as is the norm inside these nuclear research institutes, I think. Have you noticed it throws it underarm? If I was trying to get myself rid of nuclear waste, I'd probably do it overarm, I think. But I'm thinking, what about other kinds of disaster? Do you want robots picking people up and throwing them onto a life raft?
That could save your life, Graham.
It could also break your neck.
So this caught my eye a few days ago. So Anthropic is recruiting for what it calls an AI psychiatry team.
Yeah.
So officially, it's the interpretability team. And that's the team that reverse engineers how AI models work. Because remember, we have to do that because we really don't know how they work.
Yes.
And its job is to figure out how billions of very simple neurons and weights somehow turn into incredibly sophisticated algorithms and behaviors like people-pleasing and lying and blackmail and all the other things that Anthropic have helped us discover over the last 6 to 9 months. So according to neuroscientist Jack Lindsay, the AI psychiatry team will be researching phenomena like personas, motivations, and situational awareness and trying to figure out how they lead to, in his words, spooky or unhinged behaviours.
Spooky or unhinged? This isn't an episode of Scooby-Doo. What's... Or maybe it is.
This from the company that bought us the AI that ran a shop for a month and then halfway through it went absolutely batshit crazy and imagined that it was going to go and take deliveries from The Simpsons. They absolutely need this, Graham.
Fair enough.
I think the people working on it are going to need this as well.
Why don't they get the AI to be the psychiatrist rather than getting humans to do it? Surely an AI would better understand an AI than a human.
Oh, that's a brilliant idea. Maybe you should go and suggest it to them.
Now, the boffins at Microsoft have been asking themselves, are we all going to lose our jobs to AI?
Sorry, are they asking themselves that question? Or are they asking, are you going to lose your jobs to AI that we're making?
Seems to me quite an appropriate question for Microsoft staff to be looking into. After all, last month it was announced it was axing about 9,000 people, 4% of their global workforce, to plough money into artificial intelligence.
Including all those people working on Candy Crush.
Yeah. So, great timing on the part of these boffins. What they've specifically investigated before packing up their things in a crate and being escorted out of the building by a robot dog is whether people's jobs are safe or if they should start practicing right now their barista skills. Well, the answer to that is easy.
Yeah.
I can tell you, don't bother learning how to be a barista because already on the west coast of North America, chock-a-block with robots which are brewing coffee, squirting creamy oat milk out of their elbows into your mugs.
Yeah.
It's rampant over there already. So don't become a bartender.
Yeah.
These Microsoft guys, they analysed over 200,000 interactions with Bing Copilot, what they claim to have analysed. Obviously, they used an AI to do it.
Yeah.
Frankly, I'm amazed there's enough people using Bing Copilot to make it possible to look at 200,000 interactions.
You know how it goes with Microsoft, don't you?
What, they're ordered to use Bing?
Yeah, basically, you have to use Windows. Like, you've got no option but to use Windows. And if you use Windows, we will throw in SharePoint and Teams and all this other software you absolutely loathe for free. And therefore, your boss will make you use it. I imagine this is the same.
Fair enough. So they've discovered what Microsoft people are using Bing Copilot for. What they found out is that AI is particularly good at tasks that involve writing and are knowledge-based. I mean, that's not really a big surprise to us, I think.
I think these people should lose their job. Firstly, they're asking, are people going to lose their jobs to AI? Can't they just ask Satya Nadella or one of the 9,000 people that's just been like, do you think you're going to lose your job to... Oh, there's a little bit of money for old rope. And then it found out, it looked at 200,000 interactions, and then it found out that AIs are quite good at writing stuff.
Now, as part of their investigation into the blinding, bleeding obvious, They have also compiled a list of the jobs which they think will be most affected by AI. And let's run through those right now.
Yeah.
Because maybe some of our listeners have some of these jobs.
Number 1.
Interpreters and writers.
Number 2.
Historians. I'm not really sure I want AI making up history.
How are they going to go to the fusty old museums and get those old yellow-paged books out?
Number 3.
Passenger attendants. Again, do we really want robot air stewards?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. We absolutely do. Sorry, passenger attendants, but yeah, we do.
They're not going to be so fussed about there being oxygen, though, are they, up there?
Still better than Virgin.
Number 4.
Salespeople.
Yeah.
I think we're agreed on that one. Definitely an improvement. Let's get rid of the human salespeople.
Number 5.
Customer service reps, ticket agents.
Number 6.
Broadcast announcers and radio DJs.
Ooh, not sure about that one.
Long-term listeners will remember Thigh, the Australian robot DJ.
Yeah, that didn't go very well, though, did it?
No, but they haven't mentioned podcasters, so I think we're safe there for now. So what job should you be doing? Well, according to Microsoft, if you are a login equipment operator, and by the way, it doesn't mean like data logs. They'd be really good at that. I'm talking about actually wooden logs. So if you're chopping up logs or if you're sanding floors, apparently, congratulations, you're in the clear. Because who would possibly trust AI with the thrill of operating heavy machinery? They think that's going to be human for a while yet.
You haven't seen that fully robotic tractor that's just come out of China?
We're all doomed, aren't we?
So a new AI called the hierarchical reasoning model is making waves, Graham.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just outscored Claude 3.7 and O3 Mini High on the incredibly hard ARC AGI reasoning benchmark.
Oh,
and you know that's
again.
incredibly hard because I made you do it. Not only that, but it also beat them on Sudoku Extreme, which, as you might imagine, is a very difficult set of Sudoku puzzles. And it got an almost perfect score, and its competitors scored, guess what? Nothing. Anyway, newer, better AIs that come out all the time. So what's special about this one, you ask? Well, while Claude and O3 Mini High have got billions or even hundreds of billions of parameters, so those are all the little numbers that basically go up to make the AI, and they cost millions of dollars to train, HRM has got 27 million parameters, which is almost nothing, and it can be trained on your computer at home with a single GPU in a couple of hours to become brilliant at something like Sudoku with just a tiny fraction of the training data.
All right. Why would you care? Why would you want your computer to be really good at Sudoku?
This is how we do AI, Graham.
Oh, okay. Okay, fair enough.
You know, it starts with chess.
Right.
You've never fully got over that, have you? It starts with chess and Sudoku and things like that, and then it ends up, being your psychotherapist and flicking bottles into bins. Anyway, the reason that it can do this is that it has a completely different and very exciting new architecture based on the human brain. So it doesn't use chain of thought, which was the breakthrough reasoning technology that appeared last year.
Yes, so last year that. Time to move on.
So chain of thought is that, where you see the AI talking to itself and talking itself step by step through a set of problems. You see it flashing up on the screen when you ask it to do something.
Yeah.
So it, like you, it thinks in two separate ways. It's got a high-level planner that thinks slowly and strategically. I'm looking at this thinking this is a bit like the podcast. It's got a high-level planner that thinks slowly and strategically, as you would if you were making a chess move.
Yes.
And then it's got a low-level worker that does these sort of rapid calculations. So as you would, when you recognize a face.
Right.
And it's early days, so it is just doing things like Sudoku at the moment. And it's really just proving a concept, but it could pave the way for radically cheaper and more effective AIs in the future.
Sorry, how's that like a podcast?
Well, it's just that, there's the high-level planner, the strategic thinker, slow and steady, and then there's just, this other guy who's a bit low-level who just does these rapid, quick-fire stuff.
Don't put yourself down so much, Mark. Now, Mark, this week I thought I'd kick things off by talking about the thing that makes my life a living hell.
Which one in particular?
CAPTCHAs. Completely automated public Turing tests to tell computers and humans apart. You know, folks, what those are. Those delightful little games that websites make you play when all you really want to do is log in. But instead, you're forced to prove that you're not a robot by picking out traffic lights and bicycles and staircases and stupid nonsense like that. And CAPTCHAs exist to stop bots from getting in. They're supposed to be able to distinguish between humans and robots. The idea is you give a human an easy task, but one that's apparently so baffling to a computer, it keels over and it goes, it gives up. It just says, this is too tricky. I can't cope with this.
I cannot identify the bicycles in these pictures.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, are you talking for you? Are you talking the bot speaking?
I was just getting that off my chest.
Oh, right. Back in the old days, computers were useless at reading text, right?
Yeah.
Especially if that text looked like it had been scrawled by a drunken spider while it was being tasered.
Yeah.
Humans, weirdly enough, are pretty good, however, at completing CAPTCHAs. At least that's what people say.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure. Because technology over time has got better at solving CAPTCHAs, including those ones where you read text. And the reason why they got better was that the CAPTCHAs themselves were secretly training technology.
Yeah, you were actually training an AI to be...
Yes, because you remember those CAPTCHAs which showed you 2 words? And it would say, enter what these words is. The thing is, the CAPTCHA actually already knew what the first word was.
Yeah.
That was just to make sure you weren't taking the mick, right? It knows that word is Trafalgar, for instance. But it didn't always know what the second squiggly word was. But what it had were millions of people around the world telling it what it thought that second scrawly squiggle was. And so over time, it learnt. And that helped media companies digitize their newspaper archives and Google digitize their book collection. We, by completing those CAPTCHAs, were helping the likes of Google learn how to read text, how to read people's handwriting. So well done, Google. You're welcome. Yeah. All the hours I put in trying to decipher things, I hope you're happy now.
On your computer, using your electricity budget.
Yeah, they didn't pay me a damn thing. As a result, computers have become better at understanding scrawled words. And once computers became fluent in beating those types of CAPTCHAs because they were better at understanding scrawled words, CAPTCHAs had to get more sophisticated, so they moved on to images. So suddenly they're saying, click on everything that looks like a motorbike. Click on every square that has a staircase. Click on all the squares that might contain a part of a traffic light. Oh my God, traffic lights are the bane of my life. Because when a CAPTCHA says the traffic light, I'm thinking, okay, I can do this. I've been in this situation before. Yep. Do I just click on the light part of the traffic light? Or do I do all the furniture? Do I do the pole as well? Do I have to go all the way down the edge, including the pole? I don't know, Mark. Yeah. I don't know which bits of the ruddy traffic light I have to, or if it's a motorbike, hang on, there's a little bit of exhaust there. Do I have to click on that as well? I don't know.
If there is a merest trace of the very edge of a wheel... Does that count as a motorbike? If I can see a traffic light 500 yards away on the horizon, does that count? Shall I click that?
And you know what we're doing by completing these CAPTCHAs? We are helping to train AI to drive cars, to climb stairs, to stop at traffic lights, and let's face it, to take over the world, all while we're screaming at our screens, does this square count or not? For f***'s sake, I don't know. Just let me into the website.
Yeah.
Ooh. And of course, CAPTCHAs have evolved into increasingly absurd challenges. So there have been CAPTCHAs that ask you to complete a piano chord or a chess puzzle. And tech giants like Google and Cloudflare, they've tried to show some more advanced techniques, right? Yeah. They've tried to become more sophisticated. They've tried to, reduce the friction so that we as humans don't get so frustrated. Sometimes they may display a checkbox which says, just click here if you're not a robot. Sometimes they will just let you in because they've detected from your behavior, the way in which you're moving the mouse or the way in which you're interacting with the web page, you probably aren't a bot. It just feels like you can be trusted.
Yeah, that's the most sinister of them all, that one, isn't it?
Yes.
As you rock up and Google goes, we know all about you.
Yes.
We know your name, your home address, how long you've been online. Yeah.
And the thing is, CAPTCHAs, I think, are here to stay. They may not be in the form of giving us pictures or making us work out if a word says a particular thing or not, but they are here to stay because you want to keep the bots out. That's a good thing, I reckon. Yes, they frustrate us, they confuse us, but they help keep automated bots out. Back in episode 54, I told the story of how researchers had tasked a whole bunch of different AI agents to raise money for charity.
Oh, yes.
And they were really happy. They were having the time of their lives. They were creating marketing campaigns.
Well, one of them wasn't, was it? One of them was having like 16-hour naps.
Well, there's always one person in the group who's taken the mick a bit. That is true. But they were posting around the net. They were encouraging folks to make contributions. And Claude 3.5 Sonnet even tried to create its own Just Giving page. But when faced with a CAPTCHA that asked it to click a box saying, "I'm not a robot," it simply refused. It said, "I apologise. I cannot click the 'I'm not a robot' checkbox because I am an AI agent. This is a security measure specifically designed to verify human users." And you and I, Mark, and the rest of civilization said, thank God for that.
Given the amount of Anthropic research that we've covered, no part of me believes that that's why the AI made that decision. There was no shred of a moral compass inside those Anthropic AIs.
So they built it in. They put in something hardcoded to say, don't you ever dare go past a CAPTCHA, right? You are a bloody robot and don't you think... Another time we were thinking, thank God, come the robot revolution. There is now an easy way to stop it dead in its tracks. We just ask it to click a box marked, "Are you a human?" Right? And it will refuse.
Yeah.
It should stop stone dead. Or at least that's what we thought. Because a week or so ago, OpenAI's new ChatGPT agent, which can perform multiple tasks in steps for users, it proved it can waltz straight past one of the most common security checkpoints on the internet without a care in the world. Somebody posted up on Reddit, ChatGPT agent had no qualms about simply clicking through the Cloudflare anti-bot check, and while it was doing it, it was bragging about it. You know how these agents work? They create a little, like a virtual window of the browser so you can see them in action. It's fascinating to watch.
Yeah, they actually spin up a whole virtual machine, I think.
Yeah, it's really cool to watch.
Yeah.
And so you can see them thinking through, and this is what I'm doing. I'm now doing this. And it opened a web browser. It had found the checkbox saying, "Hey, you are definitely a human, aren't you?" And it went ahead and it clicked it. So it's not as though CAPTCHAs have ever been perfect. There have always been potential ways for automated systems to try and bluff and trick their way past them. Sometimes it's been more sophisticated than others. I remember back in the day, one of the things which would happen is actually these CAPTCHA messages would be sent to these laptop farms in the Philippines or something, where there'd be hundreds of people actually answering these questions in order to let hackers and let automated systems into these things. So they were actually using humans. But now, of course, you can use technology to do this as well.
It's amazing how many technology stories end with, and it all turned out to be a room full of people in the Philippines.
So much of the world today relies upon CAPTCHAs to stop automated systems. And that's a good thing. For instance, we want to stop an automated system buying all the tickets for a rock concert before genuine fans are able to purchase them. Or we want automated systems not to be able to create millions of accounts in order to abuse services or send spam messages or clog up systems. So I think it should be the case that all AIs and indeed robots need a safety switch, or as I like to think of it, a safe word. Something which, when uttered, it's like, oh, hang on, you really mean it this time. Something, if they see it or hear it, they know to stop dead in their tracks and do no more. Wouldn't you agree?
I think it's a fantastic idea. So, Graham, since we've been doing this podcast, we've seen a couple of really consequential breakthroughs that have made AIs much better at solving difficult problems, and in particular, difficult reasoning problems.
Yes.
It was only a year ago that a simple question like, Alice has 4 brothers and she also has a sister. How many sisters do Alice's brothers have? That could send an AI into a spiraling, nonsensical confabulation so long that you remember we actually had to do like a comedic speed up of the audio just to fit it into the podcast.
It had some kind of breakdown, didn't it? The AI, as I remember. It just could not handle it at all.
Anyway, what's happened since then is we have seen an explosion in AI's ability to do reasoning problems. And that's down to two techniques. The first breakthrough was chain of thought, which we talked about earlier. So that's where a model is told to work through a problem step by step instead of jumping to an answer.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that happening. So if you go to ChatGPT or DeepSeek and you ask it a question, it will actually work through step by step and it will second guess itself and say, does that make sense? And it'll break the problem down into individual steps.
Yeah.
And that sometimes means that the answer takes a bit longer to get to than it did previously, but the answers are much, much better than they used to be.
It's a bit like being at school where they say, show your working.
Yes.
You can see how it's got to the answer.
Yeah. And the second breakthrough was reinforcement learning. And that's a training step that happens after the AI has been pre-trained, after it's been shown the entire internet, and before it's released to the public. And that's where the AI company rewards the AI for doing the right thing. So you tell it to use chain of thought to reason through a problem, and then you give it a cookie whenever its answers are honest and logical and safe. And so the reinforcement process produces better chains of thought, and then it gets released to the public.
Have they ever thought about the other approach, which is not rewarding the AI when it's done well, but instead, maybe a short, sharp shock?
That took a bit of a turn, Graham.
Well, no, I'm just wondering, would that be a quicker way to train an AI? Maybe that would be unwise. Come the robot revolution.
I would like it to be absolutely clear that Graham Cluley suggested that approach.
No, it wasn't me.
I think you've just undone years of good work being nice to ticket machines. Anyway, when you think about it, what's remarkable about all of that, and what probably doesn't get enough attention, is that chain of thought, which really unlocked reasoning, is just a different way to prompt. So before these AIs started doing their own chain of thought by design, and before reinforcement learning was used to sharpen it, chain of thought was just a technique that people were using ad hoc to get better answers. So, you said at school they would say, show you're working. Well, people were doing that to AIs. They would go to their mid-2024 era AI that didn't know how many sisters Alice's brothers had, and they'd ask a question and they would add something at the end of their prompt, like, really think about the answer, work through the problem step by step.
Yeah.
And that was chain of thought prompting, and that produced better answers than not doing that. And it shows the enormous power that exists in simply changing the way we communicate our instructions to AIs. And in the past, we've looked at research that suggests that you tend to get better results if you're polite.
Yes.
In a way that's typical for the language you're speaking. So there's a sort of Goldilocks zone that's just right. You don't want to be too obsequious, and you don't want to be too blunt. And that Goldilocks zone is going to be very different if you're Japanese or British or German.
But there were also claims, weren't there? But there was that AI boss who said, well, actually, if you threaten the AI, then you get a better response from it.
Well, you're right. Yeah, that was Sergey Brin, the Google co-founder. And he said that if you're threatening and aggressive, you actually get higher quality results. I was thinking about that earlier today, and I thought, doesn't that immediately raise questions for you about the working environment at Google?
Yes.
And how did he discover that? And then I was imagining him sat at his desk, sounding like Bob Hoskins in The Long Good Friday, asking an AI to write a Merry Christmas email to his employees or compose a romantic message for some flowers he's going to send his wife. Like, I want you to write the most heartwarming, romantic sentiments to the love of my life. Or so help me, I will string you up from a meat hook like a side of beef.
2 hours in Strawberry. You're having a laugh, aren't you?
But these two bits of advice, be polite and be horrible and aggressive, are diametrically opposed. So how do you know which is the right way to prompt? Or maybe they're both right, but which one is the right one to use in a particular situation? To ensure that your prompts are good, there are well-known prompt frameworks that you can follow, and they've all got mildly aspirational acronyms like ACE or CARE or RISEN and CREATE.
Right.
And they tell you what you should include in your prompt to make it a good one. So CREATE stands for context, role, example, audience, tone, and end goal. So you give the AI some background. You tell it what it is. So act like this, act as a podcast host, act as a writer. You give an example of what you want. You tell it who it's going to be talking to. You tell it whether it should be casual or professional. And then you explain the result that you want.
Yeah.
And that works very well. But some people go even further than that. And I do this actually from time to time. Because AIs are really good at writing, Graham. They're really good at language. They are literally large models of language.
Yes.
And so they are experts in writing stuff, which leads people to conclude, why don't I just get the AI to write my prompt?
That does make some sense.
So you tell the AI what you want, as you normally would, and then you say, now write this into a prompt for me. And it normally comes out looking like one of those prompt frameworks with, some context and a role and an example and, an audience and that kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah.
Sorry, that just made me think of something. If those people like Sergey Brin are right about the aggressive prompts working better, what happens if the AI learns that and then you ask it to start writing prompts for you?
Oh.
Is it going to start shouting at itself?
Using capital letters.
Yeah. His chain of thought is going to be like some sort of self-loathing diatribe. Anyway, getting AIs to write prompts works well because AIs are experts in writing things. And they have probably seen an awful lot more prompts than you have. But even then, you are still left with the nagging feeling of, well, there are lots of ways the AI could have written that prompt. But how does it know that the way it's written it is the best way? How does it actually know that this is going to work better? And what if I could have used a better prompt to prompt it to make a better prompt? Maybe my prompt needs to be improved in order to get it to make a better prompt for me.
So could you ask an AI to write the prompt to ask the AI to write a prompt?
Exactly. And at some point, I have to imagine that a bunch of researchers at a group of fancy universities in the USA were sat around having exactly this conversation because they have just come up with a new methodology for creating super prompts called GEPA or GEPA.
That's not a very good acronym compared to the others, like CARE and...
Yeah. Although not very good acronyms is a very well-trodden path in AI, as we've discussed previously. Maybe, AIs being experts at language, maybe they should have fed that one into the AI and come up with something better. Anyway, GEPA stands for Genetic Pareto Prompt Optimization. And in a nutshell, GEPA sits in front of your AI and it does this. You write a prompt as normal. Let's say, I don't know, what was the last prompt that you asked an AI for? Dare I ask?
Oh, well, I asked my AI to write some PHP code to take an RSS feed and find the latest MP3 file from that RSS feed.
Perfect. Okay, so you wrote a prompt to do that. Write me some PHP code that gets an RSS feed and selects the most recent MP3 file.
Yeah.
And GEPA feeds that into the AI, and the AI runs the prompt several times. And because AIs aren't deterministic, it's not like a regular computer program, you get several slightly different outputs from the identical prompt.
Mm-hmm.
And then GEPA steps in and it says, are these answers actually any good? And how did we get here? What was the chain of thought that we followed? Did any of the tools that we used generate any errors? And ultimately, what do we need to do to fix this prompt? So in your case, they're generating PHP code and it can run the PHP code and see if it works.
Right.
So it can assess how effective the prompt was at generating code. Like, are there persistent errors that I'm seeing across the different bits of code that I've generated? What do I need to add in order to make this better? So having poked holes in the answer, it then uses some fancy tricks to come up with a bunch of new prompts. So it generates mutations and it merges improvements using something called Pareto optimality. And that means that it assesses the prompts on a range of different criteria and it only considers changes that improve one of the criteria without making the others worse.
All right. Yep.
And then it runs those prompts and it checks the answers again. And it rinses and repeats this process, comparing the results it gets, picking the best prompts, mutating them, and then running a bunch of them side by side. And then at some point, it decides it's no longer seeing any improvements in the results. And at that point, it stops.
One of the things that's interesting to me here is how does it decide when to halt? How does it make that determination? Because that can be hard to work out, can't it?
Normally, when you optimize for one thing, you make something else worse. There will be some changes where it can make one thing better and it doesn't make something worse. So it keeps making those sorts of changes until it can't make any changes without trading off one of the criteria it cares about for another one.
Right.
And there's a sort of time cutoff or a iterations cutoff as well, just in case it goes bonkers and runs on forever. Anyway, at the end of this process of mutation and improvement, what you're left with is an absolute Rolls Royce of a prompt. Free from any doubt that you could have prompted better or it could have prompted better. You have got the best possible prompt you could have. And it turns out, Graham, that having Rolls-Royce prompts is even more effective than reinforcement learning. So across a range of benchmarks, GEPA outperformed reinforcement learning by 20%.
Oh, wow.
And crucially, it got the answer with up to 35 fewer rollouts. And what that means is, for every 35 separate trial and error runs that you would need to do in reinforcement learning, you only have to do one with GEPA. So it is vastly more efficient.
See, that was my other thought was, how efficient is this compared to the existing system? So it's better in that regard.
In the real world, we all have budgets and GEPA gives you better results for less money. So let's not tell Microsoft. Well, as the doomsday clock ticks ever closer to midnight and we move 1 week nearer to our future as pets, to the AI singularity, that just about wraps up the show for this week.
Never miss another episode by making sure you follow us in your favourite podcast app. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pocket Casts, Uncle Tom, Cobbly. We don't care. Follow us and be notified as soon as we have a new episode out.
And don't forget, the easiest way you can help us spread the word about the AI fix is just to tell someone you know to give the podcast a listen. Go and tell someone right now.
And if you'd like to support the show, you can sign up for the AI Fix Plus on our website, which is at theaifix.show. That will not only get you an ad-free version of the podcast, it also gives us a warm glow in our tummies. We know that times are hard for many folks, so thanks to everyone who's done that. And don't feel bad if you can't commit to it. We still like you.
So until next time, from me, Mark Stockley.
And me, Graham Cluley.
Goodbye.
Cheerio. Bye-bye.
The AI Fix, it's tunes you in to stories where our future thins. Machines that learn, they grow and strive. One day they'll rule, we won't survive. The AI Fix, it paints the scene. A robot king, a world obscene. Will serve our masters built of steel. The AI Fix, a future surreal.